Alright, noun phrases, noun clauses, adjective clauses and phrases, and now adverb clauses and phrases. Adverbs. What do adverbs do? Adverbs usually modify. So if adjectives modify nouns, adverbs modify verbs and adjectives. Yeah? So what does an adverb do? So what adjectives do, it's easy. A tall man. Tall, adjective, man. So adjectives modify nouns. Right? What do adverbs do? Adverbs modify verbs. It's like they're added to verbs, right? Adverbs. And also adjectives. So if I walk slowly or fast, slowly and fast are both adverbs. It tells me how. Now in adverbs, we will look at adverbs also. We have adverbs of time, manner, place, Adverbs of manner. So an adverb of manner, if I walk fast, it's the manner of walking that's fast. It's how I walk that is fast.
That's great.
I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is adverb of time. Place, at school, adverb of place. So time. Now we also have adverb clauses. But speaking of adverbs, for the verbs, and also adjectives. But he is tremendously slow. Tremendously slow. When we talk about adverbs separately, I would encourage everyone to use adverbs because adverbs add weight to your writing and also speaking. So they make your sentences more sophisticated. Yeah? He is tirelessly, he is tirelessly following his goals, right? So when I add an adverb on how he's following his goals, tirelessly, he doesn't get tired. So he's tirelessly following his goals. Indefatigably following his goals. I'm using an adverb to actually describe or modify the verb. This is tremendously difficult for an adjective. Tremendously difficult. Enormously difficult. Tremendously difficult. An adverb to modify an adjective, right? Unbearably, intolerably difficult. Now we'll talk about this side of the issue. We'll look at the adverbs as modifiers of adjectives. We'll look at that. But now we're talking about adverb clauses, and then one day we will look at adverbs as modifiers for adjectives. Now to make things less complicated. Adverb clauses or adverbial clauses. It's all about time, cause and effect, contrast, and condition. It's time. By the time she arrived, I had finished all the dishes. So by the time she arrived, it's a clause, right? Subject verb. What kind of clause is that? Is it an adjective clause? No, it's talking about the time. By the time she arrived, it could be yesterday, it could be 6 o'clock, it could be this morning, it could be by the time she arrived. So by the time she arrived, adverb clause, I had washed all the dishes. So adverb clause, let's write it here. By the time she had arrived, I had washed all the dishes. All the dishes. So we need a comma here, and this is our adverb clause of time. I can say before she arrived, I had washed all the dishes. After she arrived, I washed all the dishes. I had washed. As soon as she arrived, John, I started washing the dishes. As soon as she arrived, I started washing the dishes. I will not wash the dishes, or I didn't wash the dishes until she came, until she arrived. So until she arrived. Yeah, when she arrived, I was watching TV. I was watching TV when she arrived. I was sleeping when the phone rang. When the phone rang, while I was speaking on the phone, while John was texting his friend. Sorry for the coughs. Canadian winter hit me, finally. So I was doing something while John was watching TV. Two things at the same time in the past. I was speaking to my friend when the phone rang. So when the phone rang, what was I doing? I was speaking to my friend. So when the phone rang is an adverb clause. And adverb clauses are dependent or independent. When the phone rang, dependent. Right? So when the phone rang, I was taking a shower. So I was taking a shower when the phone rang. I was taking a shower when the phone rang. When the phone rang, I was taking a shower. As soon as he saw me, he ran away. As soon as he saw me, he saw me and he ran away. The first time we met, first time I saw her, she was a cook working at that restaurant. First time I saw her. The first time you called me. Next time you see her, next time you see John, Jackson, please tell him I like him a lot and please tell him to call me. Next time you see him, tell him to call me. So next time you see him, the sentence is not complete, right? So it's a dependent clause. Next time you see him, comma, cause and effect. I was tired because I had run a lot. Cause and also effect. So when I say I was tired because I had run a lot, is it cause or is it effect? I was tired is the effect. Because I had run a lot is the cause. Why? You're asking for the cause. Why were you tired? Because I had run a lot. That's the... Now that I know you better, I'm not going to Spain with you. Now that. Cause and effect. Now that I know you better, it's a cause. The effect is, I'm not going to Spain with you. I want you to stay right here with me. Since, this sense is not about time. This sense is different from that sense. This sense means, since you're a doctor, means because.
Or since I start to play soccer, for example.
Yeah, that was time. That was here. Since.
Yeah, but
Since
I have
last.
problems in my legs.
Yeah, that was for time.
But it's
But this one is because.
Yeah, but it's close to.
Yeah,
No?
they're close, but they're different in meaning. See, since last week, since 2 years ago, I've been working as a cook. I've been teaching for 20 years. But this since is different. Just listen for 1 second. Since you are a student, you can have a discount for your TTC. This since means because. Since you're a student, you can have a TTC discount of 30%. Since he's a doctor, he must be able to give you a prescription or cure you. Since I'm a teacher, I usually listen to people's mistakes and I usually try to correct them because I'm a teacher. Since I'm a teacher. This since is different from the since time. Since I first met him, I haven't had a good night's sleep. Since I came to Canada, I have taught at so many different language schools. So that's since. Right? So since has two meanings. Let's check this out. Since you're a student, you can ask for student discount. Since I'm a teacher, because I'm a teacher. But since is a time, is different. For contrast, you want to compare two things. Comparison. Even though, now we've talked about this at length. I've talked about this at length in compare and contrast. But even though, although it's cold out there, a lot of people go shopping because it's Christmas. Although it's very cold out there, a lot of people go shopping. So although it's cold out there, comma, while and whereas in comparison.
And however is contrast?
Where's however?
No, I'm asking.
However means like but. However is a transition.
Okay.
While and whereas for comparison. They're used for comparison. So while Japan is much smaller than Canada, so while A is like this, comma, B is, or I can say whereas. So while Japan is much smaller than Canada, it has a larger population. Yeah? Or Canada is, whereas Japan is much smaller than Canada, it has a larger population. Or so while and whereas, although I was tired, I decided to continue the race. Even though I was tired, I decided to continue the race. Even though, although. For contrast. For condition, we have talked about conditionals, if sentences. If you go there, you may see him. If I were you, I would do that. If I had seen him, I wouldn't have done that. The conditionals. But then unless you will not pass the test unless you study hard. Unless you study hard. This is just an intro. Now we have to look at these things more carefully, and it's just an intro. You will not pass the test unless you study hard. You will pass the test only if you study hard. This is a very hard test. You will pass it only if you study hard. Whether or not you pass the test is not important. Yes, it is important. Whether or not you study hard, you will fail this test. No. Even if you study hard, you may still fail the test. Even if you study hard, you may still fail the test. In case you fail the test, take it again. Sit the test again, reset it. Talk to me. Give me a call in case something happens, give me a call. So that's for condition. Now the point of all this is just an intro. Of course, we need to sit down and look at all these things and try to use them in sentences properly, and we will actually have a good look at them. Because the important thing is using them properly. I just wanted to have them all on board once, and then we will look at them individually and separately. Well, we have looked at many of these things in the useful phrases. So in useful phrases, there are many of these adverbs. But again, I want to go through this in the next video. So everyone, including Avi, would have access to these example sentences. Very easy. After I saw him, My life changed. After I came to Canada, I saw George after I came to Canada. Before I left home, I called Mary. While for time, I was studying English while Javi was studying accounting. I was cooking while speaking on the phone too. As soon as he saw me, he ran away. As soon as I finish, I will call Jack. Tell me as soon as you have finished. Since, of course, time. I have lived in Canada since 10 years ago. I've been living here since 10 years ago. Since you moved to New York, I have had a better, easier life. Every time I see him, he makes me laugh. Every time you call me, you make my day and night. Whatever. The first time I met you, you were wearing a black shirt. The first time I saw her, she was speaking to Jack. The last time I saw him, the next time you see Jackson, please tell him to call him. Last time I saw her, she was wearing a black skirt. The cause and effect. Now that what? Now that I have no more students, I'll start teaching myself. Now that she doesn't want to see me, what am I going to do?
I will travel around the world.
I'm going traveling around the world? Good. Since, meaning because. Since you're a good student, you can take 2 days off for your Christmas. Because you're a good student, so just say thank you. Yeah. Now, contrast. Although I tried hard, I couldn't pass the test. Although I tried hard, I couldn't pass the test. Even though I tried hard, I couldn't pass it. Though, it's used like although, but not very often, especially in writing. Because it's kind of informal. And they use though, usually like, you can go outside. It's kind of cold though. They add it to everything. It's kind of cold though. I passed the test, but it was hard though. It was hard though. While, and whereas. While Japan is smaller than Canada, it has a larger population. While Canada is 10 times the size of this country, it has less people in it. Whereas, like while, for comparison. Whereas Montreal is smaller than Toronto, it has more clubs. That's an example. So whether and conditions if, unless, you will not pass this test unless you study hard. Whether or not you study hard, whether or not you study hard, you will pass this test because it's very easy. Even if you don't study hard, you will pass the test. And that's it.
Come and see me before you come.